Morning. Glad this week is over. All right. So lower lows. Look at the charts. There we go. All right. The next major support level is not far off. It would be great to get there today because these kind of moves they end most of the time with capitulation. Some accelerated move, and usually they overshoot the support. So we've been dealing with a lot of these overlapping bars. As this different news has come out, I think this was like torturous for swing trading anyway. Well, at the time, we did find plenty of things that were, if you recall, um, plenty of things that were outperforming and doing well. When this was doing this, remember the NYSE was making new highs. The transports were making new all-time highs. The Russell was looking okay, different times. So this congestion area kept us, it's not so bad as it looks here. Of course, the mags were underperforming, and now they've been doing terribly for a while. So yesterday, things were quiet until they weren't, and things started to move to the downside. I think, it's just constant news back and forth as to it's over, not over. Even this morning, like it's a ceasefire. Israel's throwing bombs. I'm sure you're reading the news. Another extension to Armageddon and so on. So markets are down, major support, pivot lows down here. And like I said, many times it'll overshoot it. We did get a wide range bar yesterday. So we'll see if the gap down so far is not getting bought. You can see it continues to inch lower. So I vote for an accelerated move down to the support where we get a bounce. So I'm putting my cursor there, and you see it. There's like a tiny, I don't even know if it's an unfilled gap. I'm not going to get the measuring tool out, but that bottoming tail bar over there looks like it may have touched it, but it was a gap up there. And we've got these pivot lows where prices came down, got retested, and went up. And there's a little, go to the left there. You see what we call at that time was called minor support. What was resistance becomes support. It retested, and then it was up and away. So, as I said, ideally, you can see it's at 461 and some change there. You get 640, and of course down below there. And so we'll see what that looks like on SPX. So, and gapping lower. And this is one of the things that's been happening day to day, which makes the morning difficult. There's a void above and there's a void below. And which way is it going to go? Right? So yesterday, it bounced up and then it couldn't go higher. Eventually they threw in the towel and down it went. Okay, so let's see where SPX is. I didn't update the numbers yet, so it's always interesting to see how far they move or not. So prices are give or take around here, gapping down. Here's that major support level at 63, 69, give or take. Let's call it 63.50 for, half numbers there. And let me just see where things are at here because they move. Oh, now it's below 6,300. So that's a good sign, because when you have traders that are willing to pay for protection, insurance, or bet that it's going to go down there to profit, it's a measure of sentiment. And if they're that bearish, doesn't mean it won't go down there. It's just rare that it'll go down there, that it's that extreme. So we see that it moved down pretty far from yesterday was 64.10 down to did I move that? Down to 62.90. That's huge for a day. And this is 65. And that's 109. So the 5-day average true range also increased. All right. So now the extreme call strike is below 6,600. I'm not sure if you can trade them now. So the extreme is below major support. It's below 6,400, below 6,300. So unless some bombs go off in the Middle East, no more ceasefire. Let's blow them out of the water. It's not going down there today. And of course, it's gapping here. If there's some positive news comes out, I bet you it could go up there. If there was some positive news, I'd say, yeah, it'll go up there for sure. It'd be some massive rally because everybody would be in shock. In any event, let's see if the selling continues and coming down to this level where if it went straight down there, this would be like, it's Christmas time and this is on my wish list of the biggest gift ever would be for it to accelerate down there in the first half hour of the day to come down to that level. And, I think be a massive buying opportunity. So we'll just have to see what's going to unfold. Right. Okay. Just a quick peek through the futures. We'll look at the Qs to see they're gapping. And so drag this down here. And there's your major support levels. And down below there's nothing. Right. So that's kind of, the last stop before it gets really, really, not that this isn't ugly, but it's kind of just grinding lower. And so some acceleration to the downside creates a void. So yes, keep going down into this level. Nothing below here but air. So what's going to stop that from going down? Another market like SPX getting down to a major support level. Buyers come in there and this starts to build up some support. But right now, there's just nothing there. I mean, at this point, you start, even the most hardcore price pattern traders like myself would start to consider, should I put an anchored VWAP on here or some Fibonacci levels or, start looking if it's a full moon? Because you start thinking, man, it's going to get really nasty if it goes all the way down to the next level. But while that is looking to the left and what we do to see where is the next level, it may not get down there. It can create support. Well, maybe at that minor level or whatever. Like I said, SPX will begin to bottom out or Russell will show strength. That's why we look at all of these markets to see what's showing strength and which isn't. All right. YM. It's holding up a little better. It led the way down. And so now maybe it's going to make a higher low. So there's an example of looking at to see just something showing some relative strength. Is there some index out there that is doing better, that maybe begins to make a turn? But right now it's in a downtrend. The trend gets the benefit of the doubt. That means the benefit of the doubt means it'll probably break the low. But that is support. That's the idea of creating support. See, there's nothing over here, right? The way it went up. but it created support, a pivot low. So if it comes down there, overshoots it a little bit, you got a 45,500 there. Maybe it begins to hold, and then you start looking down here. Right now, it's just starting to accelerate a little bit lower there. All right. And the Russell showing some relative strength. Right? Closer pivot lows. Right now, it's above here. Right? This is the futures, so, but I do looking at the 200. But we really want to see where it is on IWM. So that's what really matters. And so that's well above. It's gapping down. So scenarios, we think of scenarios, right? Possibilities as we look at these patterns and compare them. And one of the scenarios that comes to mind with me is S&Ps go down to that major support level. We get the void. And IWM, the Russell, shows relative strength. And maybe, it comes down, but forms a head and shoulders type of a bottom. So repeating why we look at different markets to see relative strength and weakness and what might outperform or underperform. Right. As you know, oil's going up, and we look at that and say, and it's day to day. It's still within this trading range, but anything that disappoints the, hey, this thing is almost over, it's coming to a conclusion to, okay, I've heard that one before. And now it's going back up, rattles the market, and it's like, okay, enough. It ain't over. Israel shooting off more bombs, threats of this, so on and so forth. Oil's going up. Yeah, let's just sell this thing and see what happens, and not take the risk of a waterfall decline that hands a gigantic loss. So losses are already mounting. You just look at software. I mean, look at this. Look at Microsoft. Look at all the others that are beginning to look god awful, and creating opportunities for the future. The institutions are coming back for them. Just right now, they're waiting for another level. So gold looked like it was turning around. It's still not doing anything, trading within a range there. Silver, same story. Really don't need to discuss it. We'll see if it holds around the pivot low or it makes a higher low, whatever it's going to do in the coming days. Bitcoin doesn't look so hot. Now you've got the trend line traders saying, breaking down, that's going to go lower. So even the most subjective reference points or tools that are being used, we know traders use them and they create thoughts. So those that connect dots and project lines into the future, right, will say, oh, that's going down. And it is going down, but you got to pivot low there. You got to pivot low there. It hasn't been able to advance. And so it does look like it'll continue to go lower based on its inability to go higher. And so the trend line traders will go down and they'll create a chart and they'll say, look how the trend line predicted what's going to happen there. Or by bar analysis, reading retracements dictated what's happening because this is a representation of what traders are thinking. It looks like a monster bear flag. I've been talking about that. Meaning over here, we're like, okay, this thing's bottoming. And it was. And so, I don't know, a week or so ago, I said, this is starting to look like a bear flag kind of situation. And this is your pole. And so as we look at declines, it's like, okay, this was consolidating. It accelerates, bearish flag kind of thing. And then it accelerates again. So on the second acceleration, most times is where the flag doesn't work out. It makes, where the inability to bottom doesn't work out. And it now it looks like it's heading lower. In addition, looking at the weekly chart, this is, down here on a major support level. And you remember the move down to 6,000, there was some news at that time and got, everything turned around. And that was like, okay, looks like things are turning. And, that whole belief of the turn begins to dissipate. So it's not about the bear flags. It's recognizable patterns, but we want to understand what other traders are thinking. It's not that we're mind readers. It's just that these pictures communicate to us what they're thinking. And so as they form pivots, and we know that they're going to be buyers at those pivots, and there's going to be sellers at the pivot highs. And as that begins to evolve and form other pictures, and we look at wide range bars and so on and so forth. And it's like, look at that gap reversal bar. Okay. This week I was like, okay, this looks like it could go up. 65-minute charts, intraday, and now it fails. Now, of course, it's the news, but it's not working. The news today is our risk that some flip doesn't come and just rip our heads off, once we take a position. But that's what, share sizing and stops are for. All right, enough my talking. I'm almost done anyway. Good morning, French. Yeah. So interest rates, bonds are going down. Interest rates are going up again. Right. So inflation, stagflation. There's the 10-year, and the home builders. Yesterday, I mentioned in the room, hey, this leveraged ETF. I know it's extended. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's bottoming and beginning to turn around as a short-term trade. Well, interest rates ripping like that, unlikely. And here's Lennar, right? It's whipping around. But what I'll be looking for in these, not early on, but maybe by the end of the day, that's what's gapping down maybe closes above the open or up on the day. That'd be something to pay attention to. We'll see if that happens or not. And the realization that the Fed isn't coming to the rescue, not yet. This keeps grinding higher. So the bond market is saying oil going up, recession fears. We don't want to go all the way back again to where it was. We're going to raise interest rates. That's what's happening right now. The bond market is saying, Fed, you go fight with Trump. You go do whatever. We're raising interest rates on the high mid end and higher end faster, and this one slower. All right. And again, semiconductors, they broke down yesterday and right on major support. So we're going to see if they begin to hold on that level here this morning. One of the things that I'll be watching for to see if that shows any kind of relative strength or not. Yeah. Where are the mortgage rates now? Alex is sharing mortgage rate. Yeah, look at that chart. Right. I mean, and so as we think about all of these things that are influencing traders and what's influencing the consumer, you remember how long we heard, oh, the consumer is what's holding everything together. Well, one of the things, right? The consumer thinks about buying a home, and now interest rates went up. You can see as that chart is, it's like, hey, that house that I was going to buy, it's going to cost me an extra $1,000 a month. I can't afford it. So the buying begins to evaporate. There's the volatility index. I can't back test. It reverts before possible bottom. I don't watch.
I'll answer him, Greg.
Okay. Yeah, you can answer when you come on. One of the things that I saw mentioned on one of the news channels was that the equity futures contracts in those into the future were not at lower levels than the current, and they saw that as a mild positive. Okay, the market's still going down, so all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, so let me start by showing this chart. Stavros is asking about the saying VIX futures are in backwardation. let me explain what that means, because we have time. And this is a great site. It's called vixcentral.com. And what it shows is, it's very simple. I mean, it looks complicated, but this green line is spot, not Greg's dog spot, but the spot price of VIX. What does that mean? It means go look at VIX, and that's where it's traded, 29.89. The VIX though is just a mathematical calculation of 30-day out implied volatilities of SPY. It's an untradeable instrument. You have to trade options and futures. So these are the VIX futures. April is the next month. And so back typically this line is rising, which makes sense. Why does it make sense? Because you pay more premium for the uncertainty into the future, just like an insurance policy. A 3-month insurance policy is going to be less than a 1-year policy. There's uncertainty in the future. When the VIX spikes, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. It's normal. Now, this is called backwardation. It's very simple. Don't get all wigged out. It means that the futures are getting lower priced into the future. And you say, okay, Dan, wonderful little description. How do I make money off that? Well, I don't take any signals from this. I take all my signals from the chart. We know VIX is high relative to hovering around 15. So we know it's high. We know it's elevated because of the war, of course, and the spider selling off. So just trade the spider reversal. And that's why we love selling puts. No, it's spot, Alex. It's this. Spots. VIX.X. It's this. That's simple. It's VIX. It's spot. All right, so that's why we love. We go into put spread heaven when we get climos in the spiders and a climactic sell setup in the VIX. But this is not a pattern to say to get ready. We need the waterfall scenario like Greg was talking about. We get this, let it fall another 20 points, waterfall to that major support, wherever it was. I'm not going to blow it up. And then the VIX will get a little short-term blow off top. All right, cool. All right, alarms. We are 100% short in the advisory letter. Looks like I lost my pre-market. There we go. All right, so we're short team. Actually, only a half lot. You can add yesterday's low. And to it, I said, cover pre-market. And again, it was a problem yesterday. MDB gapping down. We only covered a third. And I think my next target is around 230. So we're getting close to the second target. Google, we're short. We're just in trail mode. We have a bear put debit spread. Look, all time frames. Daily nasty gap breakdown. Topping pattern. Void. Monthly Climo and reversal. That's what we call the New Year's Eve party. Up here at the top, the fundamentals are good. Every analyst loves it. Nothing you can do wrong. And they just think that it's going to go on forever. And it's not, because you've heard the term, look, it's price for perfection. So when you start getting a downtick of fundamentals, like slowing earnings growth, et cetera. Just look for cracks, and that's when you short these beasts. Joby or short and in trail mode. Nice, just vanilla breakdown, daily, weekly. That's such an easy setup. All right, this is it. Let's see what you all got now. Those are all my alarms and opens. We have very light inventory. We're actually flat in the weekly and the ETF letter. Is that a short? You got an end of day decline. So I would prefer it go sideways till after 3, and you don't have a big void either. So day trade if you get an entry, but not crazy about a swing. Yeah, that's significantly better. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not a 1, 2, 3 because these didn't consolidate in the bottom third of this bar, but it's bearish nevertheless. So let's put that here. That looks great. Yes, they are. Yeah, we can look for both the call spread. Today's Friday, so I'll be looking for 0 DTEs. I actually put in Telegram. Well, not anymore. All right, this was up earlier, and I said it might be a 0 DTE or but as of right now, not. Let's look at earnings. Uniform. That's a pro gap. That's a pro gap, but it's top of the range. But maybe a put spread, 0 DTE. Put that in a window. Uniform. Yeah, I saw Hood gapping down. I just saw this on the ticker, never heard of them. Recent IPO. VSA, man, oh man, look at that volume. Look how it just scrunched everything. 115 million. I don't know, that almost looks like a bio. Yeah, Hood is on the list. Yeah, that was gapping down. These are earnings. I've deleted a few already. I mean, look how nasty this is. I mean, that's a bearish gap in a downtrend. Getting a little 5-minute pop here into the open, so I'm not going to be aggressive here. It just looks horrible. Into earnings, closing with a topping tail at the low on volume. I mean, if you get a setup, and I don't like swing shorting stocks under $5. That's just one of my personal rules. But day trading, I got no problem at all. So if this tightens up, look for a day trade short. Look at that, another one. Recent IPO, Bitco Holdings, whatever the heck that is. Closing breakdown into earnings. Gapping down 20 cents. Looks horrible. So that's another day trade short. I'm gonna put that one in a window. That looks good. And they both do Bitco and there. Man, my voice is still messed up. It's irritating. Newsmax 685, no pattern. AGX 495. Wow, gap into wow, that's a gap breakout. But there's no pattern. That's a monster gap. CCL garbage. Legend 5950. That's an igniting gap. We can watch that on pullback. Let me go through. I'm almost done with her. Man, I can't talk. My voice, vocal cords ain't working. TMC, it's a sloppy Climo.
Tea with honey, Dan.
What?
Get some tea with honey.
All right. Sloppy Climo. That's no pattern. It needs to go sideways. Oh, another $2 stop though. UNH, Alex mentioned yesterday. I like it, Alex. I like it. 5 minute low. If the market peters, but they're down a lot on the hourly from yesterday. But we ended the day with a full bearish bias. But yeah, UNH looks lower to me. Team alarm. All right, team. Yeah, we can. My alarm went off. I'll reset it lower, 65.15. Or like this Bitco I said I liked as a short that earning stock, but that's a gap and fall. It's not giving us an easy entry, but that looks horrible. All right, team, we got MDB. Let's cover another third over the high if we don't make the target 239.04. B or over. All right,
Tom
so
was downgraded today. Set an alert. Right, yesterday's high.
MDB. I got Joby. It's fine. We're in trail mode.